Well, welcome to the thought for the day for Friday, the 27th of March. And if you come back, that's great. Thank you for joining us. If it's the first time, do have a look at yesterday's, which was our first one. Today, I'm wanting to talk about, and I've been inspired to talk about living simply. Some of you know that I'm a third order Franciscan, and one of the key aspects of the Franciscan way of life is to live simply. Obviously, the first orders, the ones in the brown habits, are called to a life of poverty. But those of us in the third order who sort of still live and work in the world as we can, are called to a life of simplicity, which in the Western world has not always been that easy to do. What brought this to mind was a chance encounter yesterday with my colleague, the former minister here at the Methodist Church in town, Andrew. And from our suitably safe distance from each other, we had a bit of a talk about all this that's been going on and how it's changed the way we do things. And we started to talk about the fact that actually once all the initial busyness and all the Zoom calls and things like that, which I've been a major part of instituting, happens, what may end up being the ultimate result is that we learn to live with less. And we start to really understand what's truly important to live with and what we can do without and what we can do with. And perhaps some of our obsession with consumption and consumerism may well lessen. And it may be a hard lesson for some of us that are trying to do it already might find it a little easier when everyone else is doing it too, and you're not quite so bombarded with messages always to consume. And learning to live with less doesn't actually mean you live with a less fuller life. It just means that you learn to value the things that you have, and certain things become of greater value. And I think one of the things that have really come out of this is that actually one of the things that we treasure most is our relationships with each other. And for a Christian such as myself, it's also my relationship with God. I can't actually have a relationship with God without having a relationship with others as well. And I don't think it's any accident that Jesus, when questioned what were the greatest commandments, said, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, body, spirit, and do likewise with your neighbor. Love your neighbor as yourself. And I think that's when Jesus talks often through his ministry about storing up treasures for yourself in heaven and not worrying about the earthly stuff so much. I have a suspicion that's what he's talking about. The things that will last in this life and into the next are the relationships that we foster and build. And you don't need much in a form of material goods in order to foster good relationships. And in fact, sometimes material goods get in the way of those relationships. We all know our obsession with our phones and tablets and Netflix and I'm as guilty of that as anyone else. And actually those things can often get in the way. Often a parent struggles to draw the attention of their children when they need it, because obviously they are distracted by so many things these days. And perhaps if we learn to live with less of those things, less of those distractions, perhaps the quality of our relationships with each other and with God may improve. So just a thought, really, as we suggest, a thought for the day, that actually one of the things we may learn from this is that we can live a simpler life. that we don't need some of the things that we have at the moment. And actually, in discarding some of those things and learning to live without them, the really truly important things may actually grow deeper. Our relationship with God and with others.